Hello, everyone. Do you ever have such a productive day at work where you've been killing it, you've been hyper performing and literally ticking off everything on your to do list? And then immediately when you get back home, immediately you walk in your door, you just shut down, where the best thing you can get out of yourself is to shower, you know, and endlessly scroll on social media. You can't even get yourself to cook yourself a very good meal. You literally open your fridge, the groceries are there, the recipes are there, and you end up having grilled dinner. You end up having popcorn, that snack, for dinner, or that sandwich for dinner. And you feel so bad because during the day you've been killing it, but you just cannot have a productive afternoon. And let me tell you something, this is not laziness. It's not technically burnout, but it's burnout's distant cousin. It's something called functional freeze. All right. And if any of these symptoms sound familiar for you, then you are probably also suffering from it and it's ruining your evenings without you even knowing it. So let's discuss it today on career therapy. What can you do? What is this functional freeze? What can you do about it? Welcome to career therapy. Hello, everyone. My name is Noe Tumzuli, and welcome to Career Therapy. Thank you so much for coming back. This is episode 7, and we are speaking to functional freeze. Okay, so let me tell you a little story. Okay, so sometime last year, I had a lot going on for myself. Blessed, I really, really thank God for that period in my life. I had prayed for a lot of opportunities, and God said, I bet. Okay. So what happened was I had moved from my traditional HR role to a project work, right? Which was amazing. I was doing project management, which has a lot of stakeholder management, change management, right? So because of that, I interacted with people a lot in the day, right? And the work was so much, we had daily stand-ups, and I was doing a lot of stakeholder management and interacting with a lot of people per day. At the same time, I was studying my MDP. You will know that if you are doing your MDP, you have the study blocks and everything. And I was doing it remotely, by the way. So you have your study blocks and everything. And then at some point, you have your BDAL project, which you do it as it's like some group work project thing where you kind of sort out a business case for your company, right? And the company that was chosen was my company, which means that I had to play a very pivotal role during that project. And if I can tell you, my syndicate was so diligent. We'd meet weekly, okay? And I also had to, cover a lot of ground, and I had a pivotal role because I had to gather a lot of information around my company to give to the project team, right? And then on top of that, since you guys know that I'm in HR, the HR practitioners in the business were going to attend some sort of training, and because my traditional role is HR, I was also enrolled for that training. So I had all those three things happening for me at the same time, and there was this one week where, and you know what? If I say so myself, I was killing it in the day. Like I said, I made sure that I showed up for my project work, I showed up for my MTP, I also showed up for this training, right? But if I can tell you, at the end of that day, that week, there was just this one specific week. At the end of each day, I'd literally walk through the door and just drop everything literally at the door. And the best I could get out of myself was literally to just shower. And I'd then immediately either melt in my bed or melt in my couch and disappear into a good series, or literally scrolling on social media. I literally couldn't do anything that was productive. And it was so sad because even around that time, I couldn't talk to my mom, I couldn't really catch up with my friends, I couldn't catch up with my sisters. I was going through it entirely. And the worst thing was, I used to beat myself up feeling like, oh my gosh, why don't I just meal prep on Sundays? Why can't I just read a book that I just bought? I had energy for nothing entirely. Like, And the scrolling, I don't even think it was mindful scrolling. It's literally definitely mindless scrolling. And until I came across this video of this lady called Live Curiously with Namsha, and she mentioned this, she mentioned this theory of functional freeze. I was like, oh my gosh, I never thought what I was going through has a name, right? And this is what it is. This is exactly how I feel. It's not technically burnout, but I'm just frozen at the end of the day and I can't do anything productive. And I feel so bad, because you're just like, how? I've been killing it at work. Why can't I kill it in my personal life, right? And and I was so happy to know that I'm not lazy. I'm just functionally frozen. So if you've gone through this before, this episode is for you. Let's dive deep into what functional freeze is and what does it look like and what you can do about it. Okay. So what is functional freeze? Okay. Functional freeze is a stress response. It's part of the fight, flight, and freeze survival cycle. Okay, according to mental health experts, it's a cousin of burnout, but it's more quiet and more subtle. Okay, it's when your body decides that, listen, I'm not gonna fight, I'm not gonna flee, but what I'll do is I'll just freeze, and you might even look fine on the outside, but your inner system is running on reserve. Okay, and it usually happens after prolonged stresses, especially the kind that builds up at work. Your body starts to shut down to protect you. Okay, and it's not a dramatic shutdown. Obviously, it's subtle. You literally become physically still, mentally foggy, and emotionally numb. Okay, and this is your nervous system saying, listen, I'm overwhelmed, and what we're gonna do now is just power down and take it easy to keep you safe. Okay, so let's get to why. Why does this happen to us after work? As a professional, why do I go through this after work? This is because at work, our bodies are in this hyperarousal state where we are in this constant state of exhausting our energy sources, okay? And this is because we are constantly managing a lot of things at the same time. Okay, things like obviously workplace performance, you're not just doing your job, you're managing a lot of expectations, you're managing your boss's expectation, you're managing your colleagues' expectations and customers' expectations sometimes. Okay, and you are literally hyper performing and ticking off everything on your to-do list, and you're also exposed to a lot of decision making, which can cause decision fatigue. Okay, literally from the moment you dress up and to go for work, you are deciding what shirt to wear. That's already a decision that you've made. You're deciding on a route to take. That's already another decision that you've made. So by the time you get to the office, you've already made a couple of decisions. Are you going to have what breakfast to have? That's a decision. So by the time you get to work and the amount of decision making that you do, it makes sense why by the end of the day you are suffering from decision fatigue. Okay. And then also some people could be faced with microaggressions and emotional labor. This is basically when you are consistently in situations where you have to brace yourself, brace yourself for whatever you're going to go through. It's usually common for marginalized groups, where you consistently have to manage microaggressions here and there. Okay. And also Zoom fatigue. The cognitive load of back-to-back virtual meetings can cause Zoom fatigue. I personally suffered from this during my time when I was doing my MDP. You will know that when you're doing your MDP, you have study blocks. There was literally this period where we had a study block, and the study block basically means you are supposed to be in front of your computer literally from the morning to literally from 8 a.m to 5 p.m. You are in a Zoom meeting, camera on, everything, interacting with people. And that for me was a nightmare. That's when I actually first experienced Zoom fatigue. I was like, oh, this is actually a thing. And then also the always reachable culture. And I feel very, very strongly about this one because I do think that it's not just at work, even in your personal life, the fact that someone can just send you a text, either on WhatsApp or wherever, or call you immediately. The fact that you consistently have to be available for that person, either you have capacity or no capacity, okay? It's either the text from your boss, or a text from your friend, or a text from a distant cousin, or literally a text from someone sending you a forwarded message that says, if you don't respond, amen, you'll be sent to hell. You are going to receive that message, and you will see it, and it will demand your attention, as well as at work emails. Any email that pings there, you already see it, you have to attend to it, you like it or not. Any call that comes in, you have to attend to it. So that always reachable culture, where you find that if you do not create boundaries for yourself, will definitely exhaust you by the end of each day. Okay. So the issue here is the fact that you are always on. You spend the whole day being on. When it's finally over, your system collapses. And we've established the fact that your system is not collapsing from weakness, but it's collapsing from survival. Okay. What are the signs that you are functionally frozen? What are the signs do you have to look out for to know that you are actually suffering from functional freeze? So basically, tasks feel mentally heavy for you, even if they're small. Okay. You crave distraction more than connection. Okay. You are an overachieving professional during the day, but at the end of the day, you do not want to do anything that is productive for you. You can't get yourself to do anything that is productive for you when you get home. Okay. You scroll, you binge watch, or stay into space for hours. You avoid enjoyable things like socializing. You feel weirdly numb and disconnected, also you feel emotionally flat, but also anxious at the same time. Okay. And then you also feel guilty for not doing more after work. So if any of these things are familiar for you, then you are highly likely exhibiting signs of functional freeze. Okay. So now we have come to my favorite part of this video, because in this platform we are solution minded. What do you do if you experience functional freeze? What are the actionable steps that you can take to kind of combat functional freeze? So I'll start with what you should definitely not do, okay? So don't go through the shame spiral, okay? Where you just start beating yourself up because why can't I just do this? Why can't I just do that? That only makes the situation worse, okay? And also do not force productivity. Jumping into chores and making sure that you are trying to push back, with this functional freeze is definitely not advisable, because you might find yourself digging yourself up a bigger hole, and you might find yourself suffering from fatigue, and having to check yourself into hospital because you are literally fighting your body when it's shutting down, to protect you. Okay. So make sure that you don't do that. Okay. But what you can actually do, first of all, you need to create a transition ritual for yourself. Okay. A transition ritual where you literally create a soft border between the work you and the home I'm not sure what your transition would look like, especially for the people that work from home, right? It could literally be playing some good music for yourself, drinking some good tea, or literally some other people, it could literally be silence. Okay. I don't know what you want to do, to kind of transition to say, listen, I am checking out of work right now to go home, to be the home me, so make sure that you have a good and a healthy transition ritual. Okay. And then the second thing that you can do for yourself is bringing in some self-care activities, not your big spa, or anything that'll take you away from home. We want to make sure that it's daily habits, that can bring, some sort of mindfulness, could be meditating, it could be a bath, that could say, listen, I'm taking care of me. It's a me time, I'm not sure what that looks like for you, but make sure that you incorporate that in your daily routine. Okay. And then the third one is make sure that you set boundaries. Okay. Say no to some tasks. Create clear boundaries between work and home. Make sure that you don't take work home. I know that that's quite tough because sometimes you do find that there are things that you have to do when you get home, but make sure that you have a clear border. Make sure you know when to stop. Don't overextend yourself. It's really, really not worth it. In actual fact, it actually combats your productivity for the next day. So you do need the downtime. So respect that, respect what your body is saying to you, and make sure that you take some time out. Okay. You should also incorporate some muscle movements. Make sure that you do some exercises, but anything that can reward your body physically. Okay. Make sure that you do that. Move, lie down, stretch, yoga, or actually literally exercising. That can also be good for your body. So make sure that you do something that will be physically rewarding for your body. And then if none of these home remedies work for you, make sure that you then seek professional help. That can help because you will definitely get something that is uniquely tailored for you, and your body will actually thank you for this. Okay. Okay, so now we know. Okay, now we know you're not broken, you're not lazy, you're not failing at life, you are just functionally frozen. Okay, and we've established that this isn't a weakness, it's wisdom. It's your body doing what you forget to do, what your email inbox forgets to do, what everyone else around you forgets to do, which is take care of your body. Okay, it's literally your body looking out for yourself when the world literally isn't. Okay. So the more now that we understand it, we can control what happens with our evenings. We can find ways to have very productive evenings and mentally productive for us to be ready for the following day. Okay. So if you reached this part of this video, that means that this hit home for you, and that means that you relate, or you know someone that can relate. So please let me know what you think about this topic in the comments, and send it to someone that needs it. That person who's been ghosting you in that group chat, because, and it's not because they don't care, but it's because they are also functionally frozen. So yeah, man, until then, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.